Paul?
Yeah, good. Very
Here
good.
we go again.
How are you? Yes.
Season 3.
Absolutely.
Started.
Here we are. It's becoming a regular thing, this. You know what I mean?
It's like as if we've done it before.
Well, sometimes there's mistakes, and some people would think, yes, they haven't done it before, but then other times it just goes all right.
But we have.
So, yeah,
we have
it happens. It happens. Mistakes happen. Technology, we're at that age where... Actually, no, do you know what? We're at the age where we brought in technology. Do you know what I'm saying? As in, like, we were the guinea pigs for everything that started. We were the first for social medias, entertainment, all of that. We were the first to experience it. Do you know what I mean? So
I feel old, bro. Don't say it like that. I feel old.
No, like...
I feel old when you say it like that. I'm like, but I'm experienced.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you obviously hear people saying, oh, we're getting old and stuff. It's like, don't say it as it's a bad thing because, what have you learned? Everything that you've learned now, it's brought you to this point. It's like, so what you're saying is, you're kind of disappointed in what you've done and living in that guilt, like almost regret. It's not really worth it, is it? It's, come on, people. Come on, people.
Zero regrets.
Yeah, exactly.
Zero regrets.
You
not
have
even
to,
a single letter.
You have to. Like, there's certain things that can't be changed, and there's no point, dwelling on them. Once it's past, it's past. The way I look at it.
Once it's gone. That's
but
it.
anyways,
no, I'm the same with you, bro. Like, only dwell on things that you can change. What you can't change, there's no point.
Exactly. Everything that's not under your control, then you can't really worry about it because it'll just drive you crazy, And that's the way I look at it. Let's not start this podcast on that sort of note. All right, let's just. Should we just jump straight in because there is some big news. There is some big news.
Jump straight in. Jump in.
So obviously, there's a German. A German has invaded
amongst us.
A German has infiltrated the English camp, and so it's there. It's happened. Thomas Tuchel is obviously the official manager of the England national team. What do you think? We talked about it, but what do you think, Rick? Like now that it's a reality?
I'm happy, bro. Like I'm happy he's part of the national team. I'm not one of these like, oh, he's German, he's this, he's that, and people might be like, oh yeah, but you guys are not English. But like at the end of the day, we're football fans. We want England to win. We support England in the major tournaments. Who do you want apart from a guy who's won major trophies? We've had a guy who made everybody get together, which is lovely because previous times, previous managers had players who were from different clubs not sit together. They try to sit with their respected clubs and teammates from those respected clubs. And now, obviously, Southgate made it cool to sit with the Chelsea players, with the Liverpool players, the Arsenal players, and so on and so forth, and kind of got everybody to be pally-pally, which was great. But he didn't take us any further than just second, and at the end, two finals, granted. But second, should have won both finals.
Yeah, like it's second. You said it. You said it. So, but I agree.
He's still on mute.
Oh. This is what I was talking about right at the beginning of the episode. Do you know what I mean? This was a perfect example. This is what not to do, people. Okay, that was well scripted. We knew what we were doing there.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I used it twice. And he's still on.
Exactly. You got to remind. You got to remind that. Anyway, I was too much in the role. But no, I agree. I agree with what you're saying, Rick. I think I don't agree. I think it's just crazy. Tabloids and making a big deal out of it because he's German and leading England or whatever. It's like. What do you expect? Everyone else has been tried and tested and nothing's happened. So let's just give this guy a shot. And someone, like you said, someone who's got pedigree in winning and winning big. Like we're not talking like FA Cup or Carabao Cup. We're talking huge wins. Champions League, he was the guy. So yeah, it's probably going to be a great appointment. And I think again, maybe a bit premature with this, but I think, next tournament, England could have a great chance of actually winning because
I'm with you.
I feel like he's going to bring like this coherent team. He's going to make them gel together, actually play together rather than sometimes individuals. But that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing most of the time. They're trying to take all the glory because they know the tabloids are going to be on it. But I think that's where the coach comes in. That's what a manager is there for, to manage egos more than anything else. In a national team, it's not even to manage players; it's egos. and especially in the England camp. And I think he's gonna want respect, and I think the respect's going to be given to him because of obviously what he's achieved. So with Southgate, like you 100. Said, he was English. He wanted to make everyone happy and stuff like that. But you can't. And again, he was playing for the tabloids rather than the national team. So
absolutely.
Yeah, great appointment. After Pep Guardiola, I think he was probably the next. I mean, we said it, didn't we? We've said it before. Like he was a good candidate, and I think they made the wise choice of bringing him in rather than, let's find an English manager. And there was.
But there isn't any though. Who?
No, I was just about to say, right?
Who's the English manager?
So there was names like Graham Potter being flown around. It's like, are you kidding?
Why?
Are you kidding? Frank Lampard was one of them, like in the candidacy, and it's like, am I reading this right? Who's deciding this? Who is deciding this? Like, stop watching social media and please watch the football and watch what these managers have or have not brought, and obviously in the above instances have not brought. Do you know what I'm saying?
No,
Graham Potter
exactly,
in lower leagues, I'm sure he's going to be great. In the championship side or whatever, he can bring a team up. I have no doubt in that. But that's as far as he goes. I don't think he goes any further than that. I think he's reached his capacity.
Well, he got given the chance as well.
He did. There you go.
And everybody calls for English managers being given a top team or top job in the Premier League. They say, why can't they do it at Chelsea, United, Arsenal, City, and all those teams? And then because they're not there, like you say, some of you have to manage egos, and you have to have a manager with pedigree. You have to have a manager who's got a winning success. Because players, these young millionaires who have everything given to them from the age of 12 upwards, don't get me wrong, yes, they work very hard, but we're talking in terms of like financially and so on, is going to be difficult to manage their egos when they think they should be playing. For example, Reece James coming back from injury. If it was a Graham Potter, you'd be like, yeah, you go into the starting line. I'm like, hold on a minute. Like, we've been doing all right without him. Same for England. Just because you played for England 5 years ago or 20 matches ago, all of a sudden, you don't get into the starting lineup like Harry Kane did the other night. He was injured for the game against Greece, came back into game against Finland or Norway or whoever the hell they played, one of the Scandi countries. But
Finland.
Scandinavian countries. Yeah. Was it Finland? And you're like, why did Harry Kane just walk in? Why don't you give Ollie Watkins a run out? Why don't you give Dominic Solanke a game? Give him something to do. Give him a run out, man. Just do something. And something that Gareth was always good at picking was his favourite players, regardless of how they performed, and we called for that. I think Thomas Tuchel's going to come in and just say, do you know what? If you're on form, you get to play. If you're not on form, you don't get to play, regardless of whether you played before or you didn't. And then this is another thing I wanted to talk to you about, because you were talking about English managers, because went back to Thomas Tuchel, is listening to the news the very next day, everybody was fuming. And obviously listen to the TalkSport news, and even like pundits were fuming. I should have been English. And Harry Redknapp came on there, and Sam Allardyce came on there, and I was thinking, Sam Allardyce, why does his opinion matter? Why is Sam Allardyce even on here? He was a manager for 2 months, and he threw his chances away. He's like, you don't give him a chance. They gave you a chance, bro. You were thinking about making 10% on a player on the black market because you can do some dodgy dealings to win 200 grand. 200 grand, you're getting paid 5 million a year. What are you doing? You're throwing your England career away, and he threw it away. But now he's angry because a German got in, not Eddie Howe or not Flipping Graham Potter. And Harry Redknapp came on. He was like, good managers like Steven Gerrard should have got it. Or Frank Lampard. I was like, are you for real? Like, why would a Steven Gerrard or Frank Lampard come even close to the England job? So they've made a right appointment. And also, everybody's going to forget all this once he starts winning. And the main question most people are asking, what happens at the World Cup when it's England versus Germany in the final? What happens is Thomas Tuchel will go out to win it. His country's already won it multiple times. All he needs to do now is make sure that his name goes down in the history books. Champions League, Club World Cup, Football World Cup, if not Club World Cup, Club World Cup and the World Cup.
National World Cup, yeah.
That's it. So it's insane. Like for me, from this comparison and this, his Germany's this, I don't really get it. I don't really rate it. I just think it's a great appointment. And like I put on group chat, I'm excited to watch England after January, to be honest with you, just to see what it does. Yeah.
I agree with everything that you said, and it's unwarranted, really, the hate, because I would be more pissed off if it was a Lampard or a Gerrard, because again, we're not 100%. Talking. This is not a project club. We are talking a national team. The players are ready. That's why they're chosen. That's why in the situation that they're at. Even like in the Euros, in the World Cup itself. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's why they are at the peak right now. This is not a project. You need to bring in a manager who wins, who has won, and who will win. And that's exactly what Tuchel, I feel, will bring to it. And like it or not, if like you said, if he wins the World Cup, shit, who's going to care? Who's going to actually give a shit?
No one's going to
give a flying toss about
They'll be singing his name.
Of course they will. And again, it will go down in history and it will forever be there. And again, I respect the manager. I like him, so I don't see anything wrong with it at all. And so with Tuchel, it should be exciting. I think exciting football, and there's a great video on YouTube. I think I mentioned the channel 442. By the way, this is not a sponsored segment. No, it isn't any of that. But he talks about tactics, and his video was on how Tuchel can use this team and shape this team. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially with the forwards that we have. And it's very interesting to watch because again, you feel like you're like, yes, that makes sense. Like how did Southgate not do it? Like, exactly. Like, this makes total sense. And these are the exact players that Tuchel needs to play the way he wants. And again, he showed examples from Dortmund and from PSG and stuff like that. So again, I think I don't know. I mean, the upgrade on Southgate is just, I feel it's unbelievable. It really is.
Different level, isn't it? It's like moving from a premium car to like some exotic, like to some top tier lottery winning kind of car, isn't it?
True.
It's not like you're sort of like, you can afford a BMW or a Mercedes on finance, but this is like you're getting the McLarens, the Bentleys, even higher than McLarens and Bentleys. This is like the Ferraris and the Rolls Royces for me. He's up there with the top managers.
Especially in the last 10 years, at least the last 10 years. And in the interest of fairness, right? Like some of the cars that you mentioned, sometimes they will break down. So unfortunately, unfortunately, if we get the wrong batch of car, then we are definitely fucked.
We've got the wrong TT.
Yeah, and then I spoke prematurely. So, and then maybe Southgate was the upgrade. Maybe we wanted the BMW and Lexus or whatever the fuck it is. So
no. I can't see that being him. For me, though, Tuchel is the right man as well because he speaks perfect English.
Yep.
He's got English banter. He loves the idea of living in the country because he's even expressed it when he worked at Chelsea. He loved being in West London and so on. His English banter is, I've seen obviously as an ex-Chelsea fan and him and being an ex-Chelsea manager, you get to see the banter that he has with the players, and it's the banter that you and I would have. It's English banter, where the German Sebastian Vettel back on Top Gear and he loves English banter and so on. Tuchel is the same. Tuchel loves English banter, so you'll have that banter with a lad. The only different thing for him is like he said on the press conference again, he has a German passport and it says nationality on his passport says German. That is literally the only thing that is different. Now, for some people it might mean a lot, but it means nothing if you're boosting your country's chances of winning the World Cup, winning European Championships, and just playing good football that you're excited to watch rather than, here we go again. Why is he not put so-and-so on? Why is Jordan Henderson playing? Why is Maguire playing? Etc., etc., etc.
I mean, we had to mention the whole nationality thing because it was made a big deal. But because we are intelligent and intellectuals on this podcast,
love it.
We don't really care about that type of shit. For us, we want to see winning. Like, we want trophies. We want winning. That's what we want. As an Arsenal fan, I can't stress that enough. Do you know what I'm saying? We want winning. So for me, I don't like all this, nostalgic shit or nationalist shit or whatever it is. Like, nationalist, not in a bad way, by the way, not in a derogatory way, because that's not what we're talking about. Yeah. I don't really care about it. I really don't, because football is football, and as long as you can get the best out of the players that we have and provide joy to the nation, then it doesn't really matter. Like, that is irrelevant.
No.
It will just go down as in Thomas Tuchel, England manager when they won the World Cup. That's it. England won the World Cup. That's all that's going to matter. That's all that's going to matter.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, well, it's not too far fetched when you put it that way. It's not like when you say, "Oh, Southgate's going to take them to the trophy itself." You kind of think that doesn't really go well in a sentence. And technically, he hasn't. He took them to the final. Again, we can't take that away. Let's just stress that
he took them to the trophy, but didn't bring it home.
He almost touched it, but he got taken away real quick. So when you say Tuchel, and again, just like we said about the experience and all that stuff. Yeah, you can see it, you can picture it, because that's what he can provide as a coach. So yeah, I can't wait to see it. I look
seriously,
forward to it.
I can't wait to see it. Also, the fact that when he was at Chelsea, he said we're going to build a team that others are going to fear. And I was just like, yes, that's the kind of talk I want from a manager. And I think he's going to try and apply that same motto to England. I can't see why not. That seems to be his DNA, build a team that others are going to fear. But one thing I'm not looking forward about Tuchel is hearing him talk about transition all the time. Transition and phases of play from left wing to right wing, transition. And I remember, that's where I learned the word transition. That I keep using my team is transitioning. Now I'm taking the piss. But yeah, no, I'm excited, bro. And obviously, I feel like we've said what we can say on Tuchel. Obviously, best of luck to him. We're excited, like you said. We're intelligent people. We're not there just to be like, oh, he's over the pond, needs to be English. Because being English doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win anything. Nor does it mean you're going to lose. But obviously, statistically, we had an English coach who wasn't a great player, wasn't a great at a manager, did okay for England, or did the best English manager ever in terms of success rate. But did he win anything for us to cheer about, or do we just celebrate? Well, we went to the final.
No.
Well, we went to the final.
We can't celebrate that, but we can acknowledge and appreciate that he did progress the team from previous generations of players and coaches. So again, like I said, we're definitely not taking anything away from Southgate, because he did bring us very close twice to major trophies. So fair dues. But to get to that next stage, we need someone with, like I said, with Tuchel's pedigree. So let's 100%. see how that works out, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, with I was going to say with Tuchel, like we've said everything that we can really, like from the experience that he's brought to the Premier League, really. And it was just sad. I know you were sad. I know TT. That's all we kept seeing on the messages.
Yes, I remember.
TT here we go. Just.
He's reminiscing over here. I'm just reminiscing over here.
He's just looking up to the clouds right now, and he's like, TT. Even though he's not passed away. So
I can see Porto again. I'm just like, there's Porto. There he is. To be fair though, for Chelsea, he took us to 6 finals, bro. Like realistically speaking, took us to 6 finals. Granted, or 5 finals. Was it 5 or 6? 5, I think, because we got beat by Liverpool in 2. One of penalty shootout that went all the way as far as the keepers. Which, when it gets to penalties, it's not really the manager's fault. Carabao Cup and FA Cup. But yeah, that year that he was in, we had final after final after final. Champions League, Club World Cup, Super Cup. I guess Super Cup maybe doesn't count because if you win the Champions League, you get the Super Cup. But nevertheless, his trophy's in the cabinet, and his name will go down in Chelsea history as won the Champions League, won the Club
one of your
World
greatest
Cup,
managers. Yeah, I think one of your best managers, to be honest. And
because we lost the Club World Cup in 2012, 2013. We lost the Club World Cup because we didn't have the manager in place, and I think we got beat by one of the South American teams.
Yeah, as is the case. But
let's not reminisce anymore because I'll probably get sad again.
Interestingly, actually, last thing I will say on the whole England and manager thing topic is, interestingly, there hasn't been in the top 5 leagues, there hasn't been an English manager that's won a major trophy. Now, I could be mistaken.
Oh, interesting.
Like, I could be mistaken. I'm talking English. Do you know what I'm saying? Who hasn't won a major trophy? So
Sir Alex is not English, by the way, just to let people know.
That's why I had to emphasize. Yeah, that's why I had to emphasize. So for people across the pond,
and I had to just let people know across the be like, Sir Alex, he just lives near Donald Trump's golf course. No, he doesn't, and he's not English. That's Scotland. That's somewhere else.
Yeah, that is a separate country. Please, let's not offend our Scottish friends because we do like Scotland very much. To be fair,
yes,
we do like Scotland. And we're planning a trip, but we'll talk about that later. I don't think there has been. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like from memory, real quick. Without having to go down the researching route, because we probably should have done that before.
No. We should have had this beforehand. But I don't think there has been. But this is a don't Google kind of moment. If there has been one, get in touch. Let us know who that manager is.
Yeah, I think we may be wrong, but yeah.
Hoddle or anything? Did they win anything in Syria? The Hoddles, the Venables, I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, let's take it from the last.
Did you say top 5 leagues?
Yeah, top 5 leagues. Let's take it from the last 20 years. Do you know what I mean? Since
No, nobody. I can guarantee you right now, there's nobody.
yeah, I don't think
The last 20
anyone
years.
has one English manager. So there's another point to go away from the English managers. Maybe that is the curse. So yeah.
But this
okay.
is then. Would then quick question on this
Go on.
then? If it's not English managers, then who do you blame for that? As a country, you want to have English managers who are continuously progressing, getting the top jobs in the country or even abroad in Europe, etc. So who do you blame? Do you blame the FA for not developing young managers and developing them early so that they can become pro licensed, UEFA A, UEFA B, whatever the sort of the scale or the the structure that they have to go through to get these licenses and coaching badges before they can get these top jobs, or just English managers kind of look down upon? I guess two questions because of
It's
their
two-parter.
defensive style and being like, yeah, two-parter. Because, like when you play in England, they're like, oh, I'm old school, me. You remember those sayings, oh, I'm old school. When the Brazilians are trying to do flary and step overs and so on, somebody's like, oh, just go through him, let him know you're there. Well, I know he's there. You don't need him to go through me. But do you see what I'm coming from? Is it that idea of that mentality of these guys are just defensive and defense physical rather than play football, attacking? Because football's a move. Pep Guardiola's ruined football.
No,
Just like Steph Curry's ruined basketball. Everybody's taking 3-pointers from God knows where. Same with Pep.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to play from the back.
It's becoming too easy. But I think with the FA, again, without knowing too much about the infrastructure of the FA and the processes and stuff like that, but yeah, it feels like the main difference that I can see is from different leagues is the media. The media puts a lot of pressure on these managers, and I know obviously other managers from different national teams will get similar pressure. Obviously, the Italians, you kind of see it on their newspapers and stuff like that. They don't like their manager, but with the English media, it's just sudden. It's like from the first match, it's like, oh, you didn't win, or you just drew. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't even know who these players are. Like, I don't know how they play or how they're going to gel together yet after the first match. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So I think that's probably the main difference that I can see. Again, without knowing too much about the structure of the FA, but yeah, you don't really hear about great schools for coaching, from English managers. And again, with these players, with these ex-players who want to become coaches, they all of a sudden they want to go to the big teams, straight away. It's like, oh, I play for Man United, so I want to manage them. It's like, well, no, it doesn't work like that. Like Arsene Wenger came from Japan. Do you know what I mean? He went from France to Japan and then to Arsenal just to get that experience.
Yeah.
And whether that made a major difference or not, obviously, I'm not too sure. I haven't read his book, so I don't know. But I'm sure it would have made a difference to see the playing styles, the intensities between leagues, And so I think.
And also, though, he's earned it, though, hasn't he? If he's gone and done that, he's clearly just earned the right to be managing somewhere else. Because you're right, you get the Lampards, and he wants to walk into a job. Well, it's not so much Lampards, but I suppose the Rooney's, the whoever else is coming before him, even Lampard and Gerrard. Gerrard did okay in Celtic, came back to Villa, and has not done anything. And then rather than trying to go back to a championship side, he was like, actually, do you know what? Let me go to Saudi. I don't know if he's not been offered a championship job, but to people who look outside looking in, you'll be like, oh, he's gone for the money. He's going to take the cash in Saudi and just like.
See, that's exactly it, Rick. It's the and the egos, the big egos of these players because of who they were as players. They're forgetting that now you've stepped into the management role. So how you performed as a player has absolutely no relevance to what you're doing as a manager.
Football's changed as well.
It changes.
Football
it's
has
dynamic.
changed since the Gerrard and the Lampards
That's
were
it.
playing.
Look at Arteta's path, for example. He went from Arsenal's captain. Obviously, from Arsenal I'm talking about because I know he played. For PSG. Was it Barcelona's academy, then PSG, and then obviously Rangers? I think it was. Or Celtic, I think it was Rangers.
I think so. I know he played for Everton before he came to you guys.
And then obviously Everton.
Panic buy. Yeah.
So interesting path. He went through different leagues, and again he picked up his experiences. And after he left Arsenal, he went, instead of going straight into a job, which he probably could have, if he had. I'm sure he had his coaching badges by that point. But again, he was like, well, do you know what? No, let me go study under the grape first. Let me go study this guy first, and let me see how he manages. Now, when he first took over Arsenal, yes, he was like a mini Pep, but unfortunately, that's the school that he came from. Do you know what I'm saying? So he went again when you came out of school and you went to college, right? You were expecting everything to be the same, as in you went in with that school mentality.
Not even close.
Yeah, you went in with that school mentality
close.
because you didn't know what to expect. Do you know what I'm saying? And then as soon as you stepped foot in that college and you saw everyone in like casual clothing and just like cafeterias and coffees and shit being stuff, you're like, what? This is incredible. Do you know what I'm saying? So again, and then you adapt, and that's what Arteta's done. So again, sorry, just that was I know that was a bit off topic, but again, it leads back.
No, it wasn't off
it
topic.
leads back to the big egos of these players. Wanted that job straight away. It's like, no, you should be the one. If you were offered by Chelsea or whatever to take over, you should be the one to be like, do you know what? I'm not ready for this right now. This is not my time yet because I know I'm going to ruin this team with my inexperience, but. Because they are English players and because the media has hyped them up because they are legends of the game, which is fair enough. Again, not taking that away from them, standard.
But in England,
no, I'm saying like Gerrard, Lampard, they are world known. They have won shit. They have won international trophies.
Good point.
And that's the problem. It's like, you've been built up by the media, so you feel entitled to jump into that job, but you should be like, do you know what? No, let me go to fucking Spain Segunda Division or some shit. Do you know what I mean? Let me manage some team down there.
Let me learn my trade.
Let me learn. And again, that is low pressure jobs. That's how you learn. If you get thrown straight into high pressure, you better be prepared. And unfortunately, again, the example is that they weren't prepared. They were not ready for what was about to come in the Premier League.
Well, Gary Neville's the prime example. He went and took the Valencia job.
That's a big job. That's a big job for
and then
for
all of a sudden,
manager.
I think he lost 43 games. I'm sure the listeners will correct me, but basically he didn't do anything that... Because he given it a big one on sort of punditry and analysis, or they probably thought, let's give him a go. And they gave him a go, and he sank.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. Like, there's a difference between theory and practicality, isn't it? Like, these guys do the theory and the practical side of like behind closed doors, coaching and running drills and so on. But there's a difference between doing that to actually managing a full football club, because you're in charge. You are the boss under the owner of the club, effectively. So you get the permission. You get the say on the players. You get a say on the contracts. You get a say on who comes in and who leaves. Or you used to, at least. Or in some clubs, I suppose you still do, because they can't afford a managing director, etc. So therefore, then you become that guy. And just doing coaching badges alone is not preparation for what every day-to-day life is like. And that's one thing I applaud Arteta for. Arteta and Maresca for Chelsea. These guys, obviously, now they've took these big jobs. Fair enough, Arteta's younger than him, or looks younger than him. But he's probably thought, no, let me go and learn on myself. Let me learn about me first and how I deal with difficult situations. And who better to learn, like you said, than probably the greatest manager to ever live, who's changed football drastically across the world, by the way. Not even in the country,
grassroots.
Across the world.
It's going to
and
grassroots,
all the way down to the
Yeah.
grassroots. Yeah. So it's incredible. It's incredible. And I hope you lose every game, but it's Arteta's doing quality things. But because of Arteta, now people are saying, is it that Arteta project? Because he's been given time at Arsenal. Look at where he's got you to, challenging. Granted, a second again or something along those lines, but still, you are challenging. You're playing amazing football. That other teams are like, actually, let's see if we can get a manager who's studied under a great manager, and then give them some time, like Arsenal did with Arteta. So I can understand it, but English players do feel entitled. I agree with you on that. 100%.
They forget. Sorry, not they forget. They don't realize the change in the dressing room from player to manager, and especially if you're going to be a manager and manage players that you've just played with. Do you know what I'm saying? That is again the mentality that I don't feel like they probably taught that in the coaching schools. You know what I'm saying? They just taught about the tactics and the football and the fitness and the training regimes, whatever it is. But again, the politics in the dressing room matter a lot, as managers have learned the hard way. You lose the dressing room, that's it. You just might as well just hand in your resignation, because there is no way you're gonna win. That's it. You've been sabotaged in a way. But again, in this case, I use the sabotage maybe in the good way. Sometimes, anyway, whatever. Right? It depends on the situation of why they don't like the manager. So it
depends on the context.
Yeah, of course. So it is the entitlement on the English managers, and hopefully that answers that question. By the way, I'm sure, I don't know if
it did. We went somewhere along that. We took it was a quick little first turn left, but we missed the turn left, and it just went on a little bit. But it's nice. You got a nice scenic view. We went all the way around St. George's Park. We saw all the players train. We saw the entitled players doing their coaching badges, which was good to see. You know, it was nice. It was lovely, but question answered.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. I like it. I like it. So at least we answered some questions on this podcast. You know what I'm saying? But
that's what we're here for, bro. That's what we're here
exactly,
for. In depth.
Exactly.
In depth.
Sorry, and real quick, just to end it on the English managers. So the last two to win any sort of big things in the last 20 years, and again, when I say big things, you're going to laugh. It was Steve McLaren, a League Cup in 2004, and it was Harry Redknapp with the League Cup in 2008. So I don't know how big those situations, how big those trophies are, or if they count as major trophies. But there you go. Just in the interest of fairness, that's what we do on the podcast. So
yeah, keep it fair across the board. Well done you on that one. But now for me, I would have no idea. I would never have guessed that neither. Because all I remember Steve McLaren for was holding the umbrella at the English match.
Oh yeah, that's some crazy shit. Yeah, you if it rains,
or getting somebody to hold the brolly for him. I can't even remember. There was a brolly, and then England never qualified for Euros that year. I think it was 2008. England didn't qualify under Steve McLaren.
Well,
because he won after the Carabao Cup that he got and took Middlesbrough to the final. I think Middlesbrough took him to the final of the Europa League.
The UEFA Cup on at the time.
UEFA Europa League, whatever it was. And then obviously he got the England job, and
yeah. So again, okay, we're going to have to move on from the English managers because
we'll have to because we could be.
It's sort of right there, and it's not something new that we're saying, and the whole point from my end was I don't really care about the whole nationality thing. That's my point. Like I don't give a shit as long as he provides. He's not going to all of a sudden fucking. Okay, I'm not going to get into that because it's not that sort of fun. Him being German and the history, I don't want to get into it. So I don't care about it. I don't care about it. Just show me the good football that I want to see, and I'm sure everyone will be happy. So okay, Rick, that was. I felt like we've actually done some good work there. I
feel like we need a break.
Wow, that was
5 minutes of journalism.
Yeah, that was incredible, and I'm sweating a little bit. Well, my brain is sweating. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, and well, I think we'll take a little break, and we'll come back. No, we are going to take a little break. Fucking hell, absolute brain dead after that because
there's a lot to digest with that though, because you can kind of go whichever way you want. You know what I mean? There's different ways you can have points for and against, but in reality, if it's points against, like you said, it's brain dead. Like, why would you have points against the top manager managing your country to win? It doesn't need to be English. The main title is to win goals and to win points. Nobody celebrates, well, we've got an English manager and we came second. Like, no one cares, bro. Everybody's talking about winning trophies. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter how much you spend, doesn't matter who's in charge. Fans care about trophies, and that's it.
That's it.
And good football, obviously, if you're paying the money to go to the stadium or invest in the time to watch it on TV, you care about the football that you watch and the standard of football as well. But if you win, you forget about the football. You're like, oh, we just won 3-0.
Yeah.
I'm speaking from experience, by the way.
Of course, all them trophies in the background, I can see them.
No, it's not even that. It's the winning 3-0 and being like, no, we played all right. But in reality, we played awful. Because when you analyse, you're like, that was awful.
Yeah, and that's
we should never have won.
And that's the problem sometimes. We forget that it's the performance that really counts. I'm sure I'm sure the result is good, but the performance. That's all that counts because that's what's going to get carried forward. The result is in history books now, so the performance is what's going to get carried forward, or at least parts of it. So that's where managers and good coaches learn and adapt. So yeah, but okay. Look, I read something. We'll move on from that. I read something on Threads, right? And
I don't know what Threads
is. It's like a Twitter, but it's right now it seems a bit more normal. But I can see the bad things seeping in that Twitter is known for. So I'm trying to enjoy it as much as I can, and then just get out when it becomes like X, Twitter X. Sorry, don't shoot us in the comments.
Sorry, Elon. Sorry.
So it was again. I can't remember, and I'm not going to go digging for it either. But it was along the lines of like some woman commented, and I know that sounded like derogatory the way I just said.
Some woman.
But no, she was some woman, and again, I don't know her name. So, but anyway, so it was along the lines of talking about footballers and oh, it's like they only train 2 days a week or 3 days a week, and they go out there 90 minutes. And
I hate this.
And,
Go on, I can see where you're going.
and they get paid so much. And then she compared it with herself. She was like, oh, I'll try doing 11, 12-hour jobs and working for minimum wage or normal salary or whatever the fuck it was. So now that irks me, right? That irks me a little bit. Because
me too. You just heard my response. The moment you said that, I was like, fuck off.
Yeah, that irks me because it feels like she's just made a comment after reading something on another social media site, or maybe just on Threads just earlier on. And it was like, oh, so-and-so player made this much a week, or makes this much a week. And then she was like, oh,
good on him.
Because that's how I think when she's talking, that's how I imagine it, right?
Can we refer to her as Karen just for the
Karen? Love it.
For illustration.
What a fitting name. Right. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I hear when Karen talks. Like, So she felt obligated to make this comment and feeling like people are going to be like, oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, they get paid too much. But when I read the comments, everyone was like, are you fucking kidding me? And some guy was like, right, my son plays football. Again, this is not verbatim, by the way. This is just like a summary of what was said.
Yeah, go on.
So my son plays football and he runs so-and-so kilometers. And again, we know this from watching football. When a player gets subbed off,
That's
even
literally
halfway through the game or 60 minutes, like 13 kilometers or 10 kilometers ran. It's like, damn, that is a lot of kilometers to be running, or even more. Do you know what I'm saying? If you've gone on for like 120 minutes, you are running more kilometers. Do you know what I mean? And that's that again. And he made the point of like, if you can run two marathons in a week. Do you know what I'm saying? Or something along those lines. Like then
a marathon every 2 weeks. Effectively, that's what it works out. A marathon every 2 weeks, give or take.
Exactly right. So if you can do that, it goes right. Hats off to you. Then you are definitely underpaid. But until you do that type of shit, then it doesn't really matter. And again, it brings it into perspective. It's not just about they're just kicking the ball about. Like the physical condition of these human beings is just the next level. Do you know what I'm saying? We talk about we watch superheroes and shit like that. Like these are the closest that we're ever going to get to superheroes in terms of like peak physique and real physique. By the way, do you know what I'm saying? Like real. I'm not talking like flying and shit like that. So human peak physique. These are the guys. So again, to be that, it's the dedication over the years. It's not just about the 90 minutes that they're playing on that weekend. Do you know what I'm saying? Sometimes they will have 2 games a week. Do you know what I'm saying? Or work out like a 3 games a week, like rotating sort of thing.
Yeah.
And again, Christmas period is coming, and that's what they're going to do. Sorry,
that's going to be tough. Isn't
last
it?
point on this, it's like and the amount of time they spend away from families and stuff like that, traveling, and again, the traveling itself. You travel, that takes it out of you.
But it's not. It's that, and it's also. I just made a little bit of notes because this really gets my mind going on this as well, and my mouth running sometimes. But you're right. First of all, it's the physique, the marathons and so on, continuous running, right, non-stop. The other flip side of that is it's a private business. If the business is making multi-million pounds a week, you want a small percentage of that when you are the main player for that business or the main worker. If this woman's business or whatever company she's working for, she makes so much. If she's the main person responsible for majority of that business, she'll think she's underpaid if she's only making 30 grand a year or 50 grand a year when there's multi-million pounds coming in every week. So that's the second point for me. Don't blame the footballers. Blame your husband, blame your wife, blame your girlfriend, whoever's paying for Sky, for whatever advertising that goes on, because X amount of million got to watch Man City versus Man United, the Manchester derby, North London derby, etc. Don't blame the footballers. Blame yourself.
Yeah.
Stop watching the game. Turn it off. Why do you think the women's football is not getting anything?
Yeah, no, I agree.
If the women's football had the same numbers, they will get the ridiculous salaries. But they don't. Same as in basketball. The male basketball gets more because of the viewership is there. Now, we're not saying anything else about it. We're just literally on numbers alone and statistics. If the more money a business makes, the more likelihood the workers for that business will get paid. If you work in public sector, you don't get anything because everything is counted for by the government. If you work in the private sector, you have a little bit more leeway to negotiate your salary, etc.
Welcome to capitalism, everyone. Welcome to capitalism. That is the world that we're living in.
Stop blaming the footballers. And obviously, if these guys complaining about another thing as well, at home, Karen can close her door at 5 o'clock, can scroll through social media, chat shit about footballers. But a footballer, if he had a bad game, there was 40,000 fans let's say 10%, 20%, are going to get on Twitter and give him abuse. Granit Xhaka had a human reaction for Arsenal that time when he ran across the pitch or spat or ran on the crest, the Arsenal badge on the floor. People were wishing for his daughter to get cancer and die. And listen, mate, no amount of money can prevent that from like you thinking like, what the I'm a human being at the end of the day. I get no privacy. I don't get anything for this. No amount of money. So, but people feel entitled, like Karen, to make a comment. Well, I work as a school teacher. Or I work in a hospital, and I do 12 hours a day. No one cares, Karen.
No one gives a shit.
Pick a different job. You picked it because you told everybody you love working with children. You love helping people.
Yeah.
You love sitting behind a desk. You clearly don't.
Yeah.
And now
if you're
don't blame
complaining,
somebody else who does something else.
Because there's difference between critiquing a player on a performance and actually personally attacking someone for no reason.
Yeah.
And I feel like, again, without getting too much into this, if you're going to attack a player personally, it just means that you have absolutely no intelligent argument about the performance or,
I agree, 100%.
and you're taking it out on him. No, that is...
And also, any football fan, by the way, we talked about this in last episode before, we want to watch high quality football. I don't want to see 50,000 games a year because then I'm just watching a blue team run around against a red team, Chelsea Arsenal, for example.
Yeah.
I want to watch quality football for those 90 minutes of Chelsea Arsenal. I want it to live up to the name Chelsea Arsenal. I want it to live up to the name Liverpool Arsenal, Liverpool United, Barca Real Madrid. You know what I mean? These classic games that we've grown up to watch in the recent decades. So for me, we've said it. They get paid a lot of money because we are stupid and we pay a lot of money to watch it, whether that be Sky, BT, Amazon Prime. If you're lucky enough to get matches to go to the tickets, come on, man, be serious.
Yeah, so no, I agree. And just quickly on the point of when you mentioned NBA, there was another NBA player, WNBA player called Angel Reese. And she went on some sort of interview or whatever it was, and she was like, oh, yeah, well, my salary doesn't pay enough from my WNBA. She was like, oh, well, how much is it? She had to ask someone else, like, how much it was, first of all, right? 74K, the other person replied, and she was like, oh, well, that doesn't really pay for anything. How much is my apartment? My apartment is 8K alone a month. And I was like, right, okay, stop. I don't need to watch the rest of the video. So just so if you're claiming that the only money that you make and no endorsements in that is 74K a month. 74K a year, right? $8,000 a month doesn't really. That's what 96K a year, right? So that doesn't.
76. No, 78,000 a year. 12, 72,000.
Okay,
sorry,
so there you go.
If it's 8K a month, 10, 60, 80. No, not 80 or 6. What did you say? 6,000 or 8,000?
96, I think. What
did you say? 6,000?
No, 8,000. 8,000 a month.
8? Oh, yeah, 96. Sorry, I
96.
thought you said 6,000. Wait, why is she paying what?
Yeah, so this.
Her salary does.
So
what?
again,
I heard it as 6. I can only apologize.
Yeah, no. 8K a month, so 96K a year, right? So
she's in
all of a
deficit
sudden,
every year.
all of a sudden, it's she's in deficit. So it's like, but why are you? Okay, sorry, I'm not even going to ask the question why, because it's it's irrelevant why. But if you're only claiming that you're only getting paid from your salary, then you are the dumbest person I've ever heard or seen
100%.
ever. Do you know what I'm saying? Like ever. So. Or alternatively, you are not claiming money from elsewhere, like, I don't know, like fucking, what's it called? I don't know, like OnlyFans or some shit. And I'm sure she's got something. No, sorry, I don't mean like degradingly. No, honestly, I feel like she does actually have something along those lines because, looking at her Instagram and stuff like that, it's like, come on, you must be getting some sort of money from your social medias. Do you know what I mean? So
because of the way I don't know who she is. I saw the video though where she said it doesn't even cover my bills, and then she looked to her left or to her right. I scrolled, I went over it because there was another video not so long ago about the women's, again in the US, and the talk show, one of these talk shows, and they said the women's national team only got to pick from a pool of 5.2 million, whereas the men get to pick from a pool of 500 something million. And the guy was like, so the women get paid a higher percentage. And then just shut them up straight away because we're like, oh, but women only made 500,000. Like, okay, that's 10%.
Yeah.
The boys made 4 million. That's from 500 to 600 million. That's like that's not 10%. That's way less. That's not
when
even
you
5%.
think about it that way, yeah. When it's looked at it properly, do you know what I'm saying?
When it's looked at it like exactly. So this is the problem when it comes to it. So going back to the Karen point and stuff, she just needs to calm. She just needs to calm down about how much people are getting paid, because I'm sure she has no problem when somebody in the financial district gets paid a £38 million bonus. She hasn't got a problem with it when they're like, well, I don't really want to pay the rest of the workers that because I want to make a bigger check for myself.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem to make mainstream media. But because Rodri said we are tired, we are getting injured, which naturally will happen. Your body will start, and he is, and other players will follow suit, honestly. Long health to all them all, and obviously because we want to be entertained with top quality football. But for me, it's too much, and we've touched on it. It's not just me. I think anybody who likes football doesn't want to see so many matches.
No,
just insane.
Just insane. But it takes the sort of I prefer the weekend games because it's something that you look forward to. Okay, you're going to have the occasional cup game in midweek or Champions League, but that's fine because we're used to that. We are used to it. Do you know what I'm saying? But then it ends May, Champions League final, the end, done. That's it.
Yeah.
Till fucking August. Let's go again. And then that gives us I can't wait football or transfers and transfer news and you've got your updates on all of a sudden. You got your bells ringing on your phone. Oh, transfer, whatever it is. So again, it's the excitement of it all. And just to put an end to this sort of, for Karen's point, and generally, not all female footballers, by the way, because again, not all of them have spoken about this, but just a few that have, like Alicia Lehmann, for example, she plays for Juventus.
She's Douglas Luiz.
Yeah, that's right.
Who's she with?
So,
she's like, he gets paid more.
Yeah, so
of course.
So that was so interesting. That was like the first ever couple contract that was made, right? As in, like, okay, I'm coming, but you need to bring her with you for the Juventus women's team, whatever, right? I don't care about that. I don't really agree with it, but I don't really care about it that much, right? And it's like, well, Alicia, unfortunately, you do not play the football that we want. Do you know what I'm saying? You are not at the level of the men's just yet. For you to attract the crowd and the TV and the sponsors that the men's World Cup, Euros, Champions Leagues, not just the final, but group stage, whatever it is, right? So again, it is absolutely ridiculous and ludicrous, may I add, by the way. I had to add that word in there. I had to add that word in there. That some of the female football players are even thinking about this situation. Do you know what I'm saying? Because they're just thinking like, oh, inequality. But no, that's unfortunately, again, the society that we live in has kind of is kind of moving away from the inequality. It's like, do you know what? Money is the equal thing. It doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. Money is the equal thing. Like if fucking, if they start playing the women's football in bras and panties and shit like that, and they're getting a lot of viewership, fair dues, then yeah, you're not getting paid enough. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're selling out whatever it is, then you're not getting paid enough.
I get it. If the business, like I go back to it, if the business is making a lot of money, you're not getting a fair share of that, then yeah, by all means. But right now, you're getting paid a higher percentage than probably what the men are getting paid.
And it's a bigger pool for the men. It's a bigger struggle for the men. Sorry, just to cut over. Like how many players, how many people have you known that have gone to the academies, have made sort of the big squad, and then they've been dropped because they're not good enough. They're not at that level.
I don't know if this is true or not, right? But I heard a stat before when I played before when I was younger, and I was like, oh, I want to be a footballer. Clearly, it wasn't good enough. We've talked about this before, of how I was not good enough. But if it's like, I think the stat was 1 million children get selected every year to join the academies and to go on trial. After those million that give trial, only 100,000 are kept on by the academies. Out of those 100,000, only 10,000 sign on to like the apprenticeship contracts and so on to stay on for a couple of years. After those 10,000, only 1,000 go on to play for like teenage years and so on, to, like 15 to 16, 17. And now that 10,000 so on basically drops down to one person signs an professional contracts a year to make it. Now, granted, a couple of seasons ago, we've had Kobe Mainoo, Reece James, and Sakas and so on. Of course, these guys are outstanding footballers, and yeah, that tends to happen. But how many other years have you had these academy players break through and gone, that is quality, this is a person? And you're right, it's virtually impossible to become a professional footballer
in the men's
unless
game.
you have been touched by the hand of God. In the men's game, in the men's game, unless you've been touched by the hand of God and gone, this guy.
Yeah.
that guy. It's insane. Billions of children want to be footballers. Billions of male so boys. Sorry, let's go with that. Billions of boys want to be footballers every year, every 2 to 4 years, and probably like a handful make it into the game, where they can afford to make a living out of it. The rest of them still play football. Don't get me wrong, but they have to do plumbing or some sort of a trade or some sort of a job to kind of compensate the salary. But I'm talking to make it to the very top. Very, very, very small number of children get to become professional footballers. So
yeah,
it's a lot of things, isn't it? A lot of things to consider about it.
It adds to
the main thing is
it adds to it. Sorry, yeah, I was going to say it adds to the appeal and the and the allure of the football game, because it's not something that everyone can do. Yes, we can play football outside with our mates and stuff like that, but that's cool. I feel like especially for us, it just sort of like, I don't know, football has just felt like natural, hasn't it, as a sport, as a thing in your life. It felt like another being in your life. You know what I mean? Like it's football. It's like a natural thing. Like
I love watching it. I love playing.
Yeah, literally, you could sit down with a random person and talk football, and it doesn't matter what team they support. You will talk football because it's just a natural thing to do, and that's the thing with the women's game. It's like I'm not saying it's a recent thing, because at least the last 30 years, I would say at the very least, anyway, 30 years, the women's football team game has been going on.
Improved,
and obviously it's improved. Of course it has. Of course it has. And obviously with the more mainstream media and stuff like that, it's like.
Games being shown on mainstream, and
especially after the whole Me Too movement, there was a bigger emphasis on the women's game and fair dues. That's fine. And again, I have nothing against it. Sometimes if it's on, and it's just on just randomly on a channel, I'll watch it. I will watch it, especially if it's like Arsenal playing or something like that, like a big team. I'll sit there and watch it.
Well done, you. Yeah, I haven't watched it once.
No,
and I'm a father of daughters as well. And my brother's girlfriend was like, "But what if your girls want to play football?" I'll tell them to sit down. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm not going down there. No. I'll say, like, I would support them to play football, but I would also tell them to be realistic that becoming a professional footballer, regardless, it's more difficult for boys. We just touched on that. But even as for girls, it is difficult to become a professional. And when you do become a professional, you probably will need a second job, because you're not going to make that much money. Because, again, just mommy and daddy turning up to support you is not enough for you to earn multi-millions just like the men do. Because you need the globe.
No, but Rick, like, think about it this way. If by the time they're at the age of, sort of going into an academy or making a starting lineup or whatever it is, right? Things would have changed a lot more, and things would have progressed a lot more as well. And obviously, if either of them, ever went into the professional game, in the women's game sort of thing, it's whatever money that they'll make. Yes, it won't be hundreds of thousands per week, but like $6,000, $7,000, $12,000 a week. Hey, that's
you're right. So what I should be teaching them is, if you do make 72,000 a year, do not spend 8,000 a month on rent.
Bingo, that's it.
Because it's not 6,000. Daddy misheard earlier. It's not 6,000. It's 8,000. And therefore, you're going to be on a deficit every year. You're right. That's literally no. But you're right. Listen, I'm joking aside. We're just having a bit of banter there and so on. But like whatever the kids, when you become, I'm sure for all fathers out there, as long as your kids are happy, that's all that matters, whatever they want to be. But the women game is coming along, but the men's game, it just keeps, as the women games evolve, the men games evolve even further and further, and you see players going for 100 million and making 500 million a week.
Of course.
It's not recorded anywhere, but pretty confident Haaland is walking away with 500,000 every week, with the amount of goal bonuses, with the amount of appearances and playing 90 minutes and so on. Whatever he's got in his contract, I can guarantee Haaland is making 2 million.
Oh no, I don't disagree. And obviously that could probably be part of the charges. But again, just to wrap it up, just to wrap it up on the. To wrap it up on the
yes.
See, I've lost my train of thought now. I was going to wrap it up on the women's football, but yeah, I've lost my train of thought.
On the Karen's comment, wrap it up on the Karen's comment on players playing for too long.
No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so
or complaining
with the women. Oh yeah, so this is my point, right? And the final point on this. In the last 10 years, because of obviously social medias and all that type of shit, blah blah blah, and mainstream media getting more involved. women's football has changed dramatically, like has grown exponentially in the last 10 years at the very least. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's the curve that it's going to go. Yes, when I watch the women's football, I can see the level of, of sort of tactics or whatever it is. I can see that it's not the same as the men's. Do you know what I mean? Like I can see that. But again, I don't go into watching a women's football match thinking, I'm going to watch like Brazil, France, 98 or some shit. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not expecting that, and that's fine. But
can you imagine a female walking out with a Ronaldo haircut?
Well, you know,
that's 2002 World.
Yeah, that's a bit extreme. Obviously, I don't expect that to happen. But but I'm just, you know, and that's the thing. Like, it's going to grow again in the next 10 years. It's going to grow again, and obviously, I don't think that gap will ever be bridged between the men's and women's, you know, pay gap. No. I don't think that will ever be bridged, to be honest. But you know,
I don't think just in football though, in any competitive sport, NBA, NFL, well, you know, like tennis. I think tennis as well. Sometimes, although tennis is close, to be fair, tennis have done female, whatever you win the main major Grand Slam, the men and the women get the same prize. Because before the men were getting paid more than the women. And again, the argument for Tennis Association was because they're bringing the viewership is greater from the male tennis than it is for the female tennis. But anyway, that was the last point you wanted to make on it. Let's leave it there because we could be here forever for all sports and
let's not do
inequality in pay and so on.
But yeah, it's it is something to be looked at. But I don't think unless like you said, you know, the marketing and all that stuff changes. I don't think it's a conversation to be had just yet. So yeah, look, I did want to actually bring something up away from football. Maybe a bit touchy. I don't know for some listeners, but I'm going to bring it up anyway.
Oh, for listeners, I thought it was going to be touchy for me. I was hello. He's surprising me here.
No, for the listeners, obviously, as we know, this month is Black History Month. And it is something that is celebrated. And now, my thing is, right, and I'm going to try and say this in the nicest way possible, and because I have good intentions of what I'm about to say, right? Why are we celebrating Black History Month?
Is that a question?
I mean, it can be rhetorical, and you can answer it because I don't know. I feel like why are we celebrating it? Like what? Like that is my question. I'll pose that as a question to you.
Yeah, to me, I think obviously the main thing to celebrate is because obviously there isn't that many black people in sort of positions of power to influence the youth. And a lot of the history sometimes, and I think this is where it gets a bit skewed, so just bear with me on this. What I think it's intended to celebrate is kind of the black excellence, the black sort of power of people being in positions of power. The Barack Obamas as a ex-president, the Jay-Z's, the LeBron Jameses, the X, Y, and Z, the football. I can't think of whoever, like I suppose a Mario Balotelli being a black Italian footballer in a starting 11 back in the day. Like 5-6 years ago, whenever Balotelli was there. But I think what's happening more and more, they're talking about black history, and everything gets taught about is back to slavery, back to that bit, when in reality it should be all about celebration. But why should it be limited to a month? Why should we only celebrate it in October? Morgan Freeman touched it best, I think, when he was asked by a Jewish reporter, and he said, how can we stop? The Jewish reporter asked him, how can we end racism? And Morgan Freeman said, we just stop talking about it. You stop calling me a black man, I'll stop calling you a Jewish man. And at the same time, and he goes, what about black history? He goes, I hate it. Yeah. And he's like, why? And he said, well, let me ask you, when is it the Jewish History Month? There isn't one. Well, would you like one? Oh, no. Exactly. I don't think how you can put all of my history into 1 month. And so I think for me, that's the experience that I've had. A lot of times, obviously, being a student at school, when we try to celebrate Black History Month or anything around Black history was slavery. They came from Africa and the Caribbean. They were chained in these ships and this and that. And you think to yourself, okay, that's fine. But like, what about the rest of it? Like when they were kings and they were, you know,
owning their own land
and leaders
their own land and you know, cultural leaders and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely.
And like what you want to learn is about the only black samurai that was like the most feared samurai in all of Japan during that time, and he was a black person from Africa, and he married a Japanese woman and had children and stuff. That's what you want to learn about. You don't want to learn about some guy who was like, oh, he got sold into
Yeah.
the slave trade and so on. But yeah, that's
So
my
no,
take, and that's how I think it should be done. But obviously, again, why a month? But
I think, okay.
yeah, that's the only thing I think I can kind of answer that with, if that makes sense. That's my only understanding of it. I could be wrong, I could be right, I don't know.
No,
but
it's
that's my
not even
understanding
about
of it.
right or wrong. To be honest, obviously it's your opinion in that matter, and for me, it's not even about the fact that it's only a month. It's just the fact that, again, going back to what you said, the quote from Morgan Freeman. It's like, why are we discussing, like, why are we doing this? Who decided this? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, great black leaders, for example, like Martin Luther King, we celebrate them as normal people because of civil liberties. Like, that's why we celebrate him. Like, fair enough, he's got his own day, like other great, men before him sort of thing. But I'm saying, like, we celebrate him. Like, you don't need to make it a thing where it's like a month. Like, you're bringing too much attention to something where it's like, why, are we not past this? Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, we have to, like, going back to the whole Black Lives Matter thing. Like, oh, all lives matter. Yes, get it. Obviously, all lives matter, you dumbass. However, this is the lives that are at risk right now. Like, this is what's happening right now in your world. No one's fucking saying this is more important than the other. Like, this is the stupidity of people. So for me, again, just to reiterate, because some people might get this the wrong way. I'm not saying don't celebrate Black History Month. That's not what I'm saying. I just don't think it should even be a thing that should even, exist as a concept. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we should be, and I can only speak for myself, like, I'm past that shit. Like, for me, I don't give a fuck. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't give a fuck about any of these days, first of all, but especially for something that shouldn't even be an issue for normal thinking intellectual people. Do you know what I'm saying? Because, again, you're bringing attention to something that's clearly meant to be, oh, look, we're not racist. Whoever thought of the day, oh, look, we're not racist. You clearly are. You obviously are. Because why would you even bring this up? Like, why would you even bring this up? Oh, Black History Month. Oh, thank you for reminding us of, the shit that's happened before. Thanks for that. Yeah, great. Yeah, so we've got a month of this now. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? On TV and all this shit. It's like,
whoever came up with it clearly must be about.
They're a white person. They're a white person. It's a white person.
Of course,
100%. It's a white person who came up with Black History Month.
They want to say, "I'm celebrating you with this. I'm going to celebrate this month for you." But
because it's only white people that do that.
Celebrated by is just constantly remind you guys of where you've came from and how you were slaves and this and that. And I think that's the sad thing about it. But in reality, though, in a way, it can be good. It may have good intentions, because the media doesn't really celebrate. It's the same with Muslims as well. A Muslim might be a radicalized or extremist, does something, the whole faith is gone down in tarnish and all Muslims are violent and so on and so forth. Whereas when they feed in the homeless people around the streets of Middlesbrough or Birmingham or Bradford or wherever they are, they're giving them free food, never makes the news, not once. And they do during the holy month of Ramadan when they go. And obviously we've witnessed it in our town of
our community,
and in the community. So obviously, and I know that's not just there. It happens even when there is a high Asian community, East London, in South East London, wherever they are, they go around. But that never makes the news. And same thing with the black people as well. Sometimes, or Black History Month. Sorry, when they do something amazing and it's achieved, unless they're an athlete, and I think this is more in America, they can dribble a ball, or they can rap and sing really well, it's not really spoken about. When there's an entrepreneur who owns probably 70,000 rental apartments and he does affordable homes, nobody talks about it. But the moment they can dribble a ball and shoot a three-pointer, all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's the face of the NBA.
That's what sells. That's what sells.
That's great, but like...
Social problems don't sell, Rick. You know that. Social problems don't sell at all, my friend. So, it's... yeah, well, that's it.
That's pretty much it. What all we're saying, listeners, is yes, it's in a month, but really, if it is that month, should it be used for the right reasons? And if anything, why is it not just for the whole 12 months? Yeah. Celebrate it as we do with everything else in the whole 12 months.
And going back to the Muslim culture, why isn't Eid a day off, like a national holiday? There's a massive population of Muslims in the UK. Like, why not do that?
Yep.
That's a holy day.
Yep,
that's a holy day. What you're doing right there is just disrespecting. Again, sorry, I don't want to get into the whole religion, politics bullshit because that's not what we do here.
Let's not go into
but I'm
it,
just
you're
saying,
right.
like, you know,
it's a way of doing that for people.
Yeah.
Though, yeah, you know, if you're going to be respectful,
we've got Christmas Day off.
Respect me on my holiday. Christmas is a day
Yeah.
off, but I'm happy to come to work on Christmas. I don't celebrate
Exactly,
Christmas.
but God, it's close and you can't.
I acknowledge Jesus and so on, but
exactly, and that's and look, it's a whole different stupid
it's a whole,
shit.
maybe that's in a different.
But
podcast.
that we probably won't do because that is just crazy. But no, so yeah, just wrap it up on that on the whole Black History Month thing. I just don't even think it should be a thing to even like discuss. It's like how backwards can something be? Do you know what I'm saying? Like as a concept, as an idea, how backwards is it? And hence why I say it's a white person who thought of it, like 100%, because 100%, it is what we do as white people. It's like, let's celebrate this. You just drew attention to the one thing that we want to move past, but no, now we have October to think about it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, we've got October and we've got Bonfire Night coming up as a terrorist who tried to blow up Parliament. Now we celebrate him every year.
That's worth celebrating.
I know, but by the definition, he's
a terrorist. He's an absolute terrorist, yes.
By the definition, he's
a
terrorist.
And he's probably
he didn't have
the first and only one who tried to do that to the House of Parliament. No, to do it to the House of Parliament, because I don't think it's ever happened since. So yeah, he celebrated.
I don't think it's happened since. I don't know my history that well, but apart from that, again, I'm just going back to secondary school history.
Yes, of course,
and
yeah.
what the histories come from. That's all. But yeah, he's celebrated. When in reality, like, why though? Like, why is he celebrated? Why are we having a big bonfire night in his remembrance? Like,
yeah, I agree.
I agree. There's so much shit going all over the world, but we won't need to get into
no,
it.
definitely not.
Definitely not. Anything else or any. And there was a quote, and I'm going to leave it with this one here. Like in films, when there's a resistance in the movies, such as Star Wars, you back the resistance. In Divergent, you back the resistance. In Hunger Games, you back the resistance. But in the moment it happens in real life, you just stick your head in the sand and pretend you're blind.
That's it. Yeah, Terminator, you definitely fight for the resistance and all that stuff. So, like, you're right. You're absolutely right.
You think of any movie, everybody's like, oh, it's the resistance, or it's the resistance.
Those are the good guys.
It's happening in your doorstep, and it's happening in the Middle East, as we currently speak. I want to say, fuck it, I want to say I don't care because I feel passionate about this. Is when it's Israel and Palestine, and all they keep saying, end the war in Gaza. How about you just stop the apartheid? How about you stop the fucking genocide? That's how you end it, because you're killing mothers and fathers and sons. People are not going to forget that easy to be like, oh, it's okay, I'll forgive you.
You see, but, all that's happening
again,
now.
It's the resistance.
So, yeah, all that's happening now is just creating another generation of hatred and enemies and feud and again, unfortunately, it just seems to be happening because, you know, what was it like? What was it in the 90s? I think Israel did something. But there was the war, obviously, the Gaza war. I think during the early 2000s, wasn't it?
Bro.
Yeah. So again, it's just different generations being wiped out or being angered by the treatment. And the thing is, now it's reached the stage where, again, going back to the social media, mainstream media, and all that stuff, and people being more aware and having something to read themselves,
which I'm glad.
I'm glad for you. Of course, and again, if that's what it's been used for, like the information, to learn about the depths and what's real and what's not, and come up with your own conclusion, that's good. But don't just read one article and not the story or cross references. You need to cross reference, especially with stuff like this. You need to cross reference, especially for people who have an opinion or who want to chime in with an opinion on social media. Do you know what I'm saying? On Twitter or whatever. So again, educate yourselves. That's the main thing to do in that situation. But it's like that's the way that. I look at that and
don't ever believe. One thing, like I've always learned as well, is never believe anything on face value. Just because one person told you doesn't mean it's true. Trying to see if you can get it from a different source, and if the five of them are saying the same thing, still be like, okay,
take it with a pinch of salt.
The other side?
Of course, take it with a pinch of salt, because again, unless you witness it yourself, and again, there's a story by Ricky Gervais. Just quickly, just tiny little bit off topic, right?
Because I'm just we're cautious of time, and we haven't even talked about the football this week.
Yeah, we're going to do the predictions. That's the last thing, of course. But yeah, so obviously he was talking about atheism, and it was like, the definition really is, it's like, well, I need to see it to believe it. Basically, that's the sort of definition of, well, not the official definition, but that's what it kind of means. Like, I need to see it to believe it, and that's the way that's the way I look at it as well. And sort of that sort of fits into that. into that situation. It's like, unless you see it with your own eyes, don't really believe it, or unless you hear it with your own ears, don't really believe it. So, yeah. Okay, well, look, since you mentioned it, I suppose we should talk about some football. And actually, whilst we were talking there, I was writing down the teams for the predictions. So, if you bear with me 1 second, if you want to take it over.
No, nothing wrong with that, bro. You're right.
And
if you wrote them down, I'll shout them out and you can go first. And then obviously I'll go first, second. We'll do it that way. So let's begin. And obviously, first of all, we're happy it's back, right? We're happy the Premier League's back.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. I cannot wait.
I think we speak for majority of the nation who are football fans. We are happy the Prem is back.
Yep.
But quick question. When is Barca Real Madrid? Is it this weekend or is it next weekend? When's that classic?
Give me 1 second.
Quick Google search.
I will find that out. I've got it here somewhere.
Because I'm really looking excited. Obviously, while you're searching, I'll keep the listeners.
It's not this weekend.
Stimulated.
It's not this weekend. They play Real plays Celta Vigo this weekend, and I think it could be next weekend. Yeah. Hold on.
So we've got Liverpool, Arsenal, and Barca Real, or Real Barca, whichever way.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be great.
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be great. Absolutely.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be quality. I'm looking forward.
But Rick, do you want to?
Come on, let's go.
Do you want to start with? Actually, hold on. Let me just go back to the Sunday here real quick.
Let's start with Spurs West Ham.
Yeah, we start with Spurs West Ham. What we feeling? Am I going first, or are you going first on this one?
You can go first on this one. Yeah, you can go first.
You want me to go first, eh? So Spurs playing first thing on Saturday afternoon. I'll be honest with you, right? I can see them losing that, so I'm gonna go for like I'm gonna go for like a 1-0 1-0 West Ham.
I see West Ham scoring, and I can see Spurs probably. I think it's got a draw. I think it'll probably be like a 1-1 or a 2-2 draw.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Put me down for because Spurs are going to leak goals. Antonio's going to be too much. I can see Antonio being too powerful for the Spurs defense.
Can you see a red card for the Spurs?
And they're just going to try and hear the. Yeah, I can see a card for Romero. There's something
something's happening.
Spurs.
Yeah. It's kind of like a.
But I'm not going to predict card. Let's not get carried away now. We've barely predicted a result.
Yeah, so go on. So
never mind trying to predict what's happening in the game. But for me, I'm going to go for 1-1.
1-1. Okay, I'll put you down for a 1-1 on that one. Next one we've got.
Put me down for 1-1.
We've got Fulham versus Aston Villa at Fulham. What are we saying?
I think another 1-1.
Ooh, okay. I can see a pattern.
I think they'll cancel each other out.
No, I think
because.
I can see, the sort of form that Villa have gone on recently, I can see them losing that match. But because of a bit of a break, I can see Emery sort of bringing them together. So I'm going to go for a Villa win, and I'm going to go for a cheeky 2-1 on that one. I'm going to put a cheeky 2-1 on that one for myself.
2-1.
Just a cheeky one, though. Do you know what I mean? Just a cheeky one. That's
fine.
It's
Just
not a proper one. It's just a cheeky
just
one.
Just a little cheeky one.
So yeah. Okay. Then we've got Ipswich Everton at Ipswich. What are we saying? Well, I'm going to go 2-0 Everton. I'm going to go 2-0 Everton.
Oh yeah, no, I think Ipswich might nick it. I think it might be 2-1 Ipswich.
2-1 Ipswich.
Everton can always disappoint you, though. Although they did okay, not too bad and so on, but they just seem to disappoint you all the time.
Do you know what? I'm going to change my.
When you look at head-to-heads on FPL, they've played 10 games. They've both won 4 each and 2 draws. So I think I've even got draw written all over.
Don't do another draw.
Go for another 1-1. Yeah, don't do another draw.
Shit, 3 draws in a row.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. No, I'm gonna go 1-1 again. I think it'll be.
You're gonna go draw again? Oh shit!
I've gone draw again.
Okay, I'm gonna change it. I'll change it. All right. Okay. Good job. It's not written in pencil or pen even. Okay. Well, do you know what? I'm actually gonna change mine, but I'm gonna go with like a 3-1 Everton. I can see them scoring a few goals and maybe
right.
So. I'm going to go 3-1. Right, okay, so moving on. And then we've got Man United, Brentford at Old Trafford. Now, this is interesting. Rick, you go.
Interessante.
Absolutely.
I think United are going to get beat 2-1. I think Mbeumo is going to keep scoring goals. I think, he'll get goals, and I think they're going to get beat.
God.
I think they'll get beat. I think this is the time he loses his job now.
So,
which is sad to see, really. But
it is.
It is. It's sad for any player, but he's probably a family guy, etc., and the abuse that he's been getting as well.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not without merit because they have been awful. And unfortunately, the manager gets it. But at the same time, nobody's been personal with it, though. This is like what we talked about earlier. Everything has been about his job. But I do think he'll lose his job.
I think so. Especially if it's a loss. So what are you going with? You saying 2-1? You saying? What are you saying?
Yeah, I think 2-1.
Don't,
1-1.
I would say, don't let me put words in your mouth, mate.
2-1.
So, you know.
No, you know, I was going to go 2-1, 3-1, but 3-1, I just don't. Put me down for 3-1. I think they're probably going to concede 3 goals again. I think they'll concede 3 goals again.
Jesus Christ. Right, okay, well...
I hope not, though. In a way, I kind of don't want him to because I feel sorry for him now.
I'm going to go...
I don't know why I feel sorry for him. I literally feel sorry for Man United right now. And I thought I'd never say those words.
You're crazy.
I feel sorry for
You're
Man
crazy.
United.
You're crazy. I'll delete that out. I'll beep that
I feel like
out.
they're going to get beat 3-1. Yeah,
I'll beep that whole section out. It'll just be blank.
So everybody thinks it's just going to be like, I feel fuck Man United because I'll be like,
there you go. I'll put that on. I'll just start with "fuck Man United" and that's it. Well, I'm actually. You know what? I think they're gonna win, and I can see it. They're definitely gonna concede. So I'm just gonna go with like a. Do you know what? I'm just gonna put it down as a draw. I'm gonna go 1-1. It's my first draw of the weekend.
Oof.
Yeah, it's my first draw of the weekend. I think it's gonna be a draw, and he'll probably still lose his job. So Newcastle Brighton at St James's Park. What we're saying.
This is a big game, this one. If Newcastle have got all the players back with Isak Isak performing and coming back from is going to be huge. But Brighton's been so good, though, haven't they? Brighton have been so good. I think I'm going to go Brighton. Brighton nick it 2-1. I'm going to go for an away win. I think Brighton will beat Newcastle 2-1 at home.
2-1. Wow, I was going to go 3.
So 1-2.
Okay, 1-2. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm going to go 3-1 Newcastle. I can see that being the match of the weekend, and that's probably going to be my candidate for match of the weekend.
Yeah, probably. I was going to say the same as well. That's probably match of the weekend. But then again, nah, maybe not. I was going to say, could it be Bournemouth and Arsenal?
I mean, we've got Liverpool and Chelsea for match of the weekend, by the way. This is just Saturday.
Yeah, that's going to cancel each other out. The match of the day, then. So this is for our match of the day.
You going for the same one?
Newcastle.
You going for the same one?
Yeah, I think so as well.
Okay.
I think so as well.
I'll put you down for a W, and W means weekend match of the day, apparently. I don't know. The code is the code, so it can't be changed. Then we got Southampton, Leicester, and at Southampton.
Championship meeting.
Yeah.
1-1.
No, I'm good. Well, fair enough. I'll put you down as 1-1. I'm going to go Leicester win. I think Leicester probably a little bit stronger, and that maybe cause a few more problems. But I'm going to go 1-0, 1-0 Leicester.
Yeah, I can see that happening, and then maybe Southampton fight till the end to try and pull it back, and it might nick a goal. And that's the only reason I went 1-1. But yeah, I'm more leaning towards Leicester as well. But yeah,
1-1, fair enough. And then we got last game of the week, Saturday. Sorry, we've got Bournemouth Arsenal.
Is Saka back? Is Saka expected to play?
So Saka, I don't think he'll be back this weekend. But it wasn't too serious of an injury. So again, there is a possibility that he could come back. Odegaard.
What about your neighbour, Martin?
Odegaard will be out for a little bit longer. So yeah, there has been updates, some updates anyway.
Any other injuries?
Well, we've got Jurien Timbers out, Ben White.
Timbers out? Why is Timbers
He's got
out?
like a minor thing going on. So he's probably, you know, that's just the Arsenal way.
Timbers out, Ben White's
out, Zinchenko's out, but the rest are fine. So.
Tomiyasu's out.
Tomiyasu could be back and make an appearance, but probably like a second half thing just to give a bit of rotation. But that's as far as we know right now. But yeah.
I still think you're strong enough though. Like still knowing you've got all those injuries, I still expect you to win, and I think you will win comfortably. I think you'll win 3-1.
Wow, you are mad.
Mind you, I want to go 3-0, so Raya can give me some points for my FPL.
Fair enough. Educated guess. It's Bournemouth are the type of team that just sort of do you damage real quick. Like they just sort of shank you on the side real quick, and then you're like, oh fuck, I have to get my shit together now. So I think there's definitely going to be a goal from Bournemouth, and I'm going to go 3-1. Yeah, I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal.
I love that we said that, bro. I said 3-1 as well. You're like, fuck.
You said 3-0, didn't you? You said 3-0.
And then you went for the same result. I know, but I changed it afterwards just for my FPL.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
I said 3-0, but I said 3-1. You were like, fuck. And then you went, yeah, I think I'm going to go 3-1.
Well,
I had
the split second time to
spoke to your
think.
subconscious.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. Your voice is buried in there, bro. Right, and then we move on to Sunday. We've got Wolves.
Rent free.
We've got what?
Rent free.
Rent free, right there, bro. Right there. Yeah, I won't charge you now just for the utilities.
Wolves City. I think City are going to walk with it. They need to start putting a performance in. City will probably win 4-1. 4-1 City for that one.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I can see goals because Wolves will try and perform because they're really low as well in the league. They're quite low down, if not lost. I think they might be even bottom, Quick look at the league table, view. Yeah, Wolves at the bottom. 1 point and a minus 12 goal difference. So Gary O'Neill's going to expect a performance from the boys, but expecting a performance leaves yourself vulnerable at the back. And that's just what City are very good at exploiting.
Yeah, sorry, Gary, but this could well be a last match for you as well because he's under the cosh as well, isn't he? So,
absolutely
right. Well, I'd be foolish not to pick City, right? I'd be foolish, but I'm going to pick City. So yeah, I don't think Wolves have anything to provide against them. To be honest, I don't think there's going to be a goal from Wolves. I'll easily say 3-0, without going crazy. But I'm going to say 3-0. And then, Liverpool-Chelsea.
Let's hear your thoughts.
Right. I'm first, of course. The
Go
tradition.
First on this one.
Tradition. Okay. I think Chelsea have a very good chance of causing some damage to Liverpool's back line.
Stop, don't tease me.
To the back line, I feel like they could. Obviously, Alisson's not, he's injured, so he's not going to be playing. Apart from Konate, really, I know obviously Liverpool fans will start having a go about, Van Dijk and all this. But, I just feel like Konate is probably the only one that I'd be sort of like thinking, all right, okay, how do we get past him? But the rest of them, Trent, if he's gone forward, that's your tactic. You just leave someone up there. As soon as Trent goes up, that's it. He leaves that space. You just provide someone in there. So I think, and obviously, I think you've got enough to do that. And Sancho can do that from that side. You've got Palmer on the other side who can do the same thing. The only thing with Palmer is, if you get some support against Van Dijk, because he'll be on his side. I think Palmer could do very well, and this is where obviously your wingers and your fullbacks will come into play with the overlapping because even on that side Liverpool are quite weak. So obviously again in the interest of fairness, however the front line is quite dangerous. So and the midfield is quite good. So that can't be denied. Arne Slot he's done well. He's organised himself. Okay, without too much waffling. Because we will analyse the game, obviously, on Sunday. So for me, I'm going to go with... Do you know what? I can even... Okay, no, I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool.
Yep.
I made a good point, but, I'm not going to go against...
You made great points. I think we'll win.
That's good.
I think we will go there and I think we will beat them. Although we are missing some players. Cucurella's going to be missing due to a second yellow card. And I think somebody else is missing. I don't know for 100%. I don't know if it's a midfielder or is it Fofana in the centre-back. But somebody's definitely missing because of the second yellow card and our accumulation of yellow cards. So 2 of them are not going to be ready for Liverpool. But I just feel like there's something and I feel like it's our time. And we seem to play well against teams that seem to leave lots of space behind. Yeah. Granted, last year we got beat 5-something, I think, at Anfield. We'll probably get beat again the same if we're not cautious and we keep making silly mistakes. But I think it's probably either going to be a draw or a Chelsea win. I think we'll probably be a little bit... Our midfield, if it's firing in all cylinders, it's a bit stronger than Gravenberch. McAllister's quality, don't get me wrong. Gravenberch is
good as well.
For them. And Szoboszlai is quality. Okay, I take it back.
I thought you would. I
say that. No. To be fair, no. I think midfield wise, they're very good, but they bomb forward a lot. So we'll probably try and hit the counter attack, exploit our pace with Madueke, Sanchez. Jackson is quick as well. I've got to
see. Okay, sorry.
I'm going to back him simply because it's my team and I think we'll win. But realistically, my heart tells me it's going to be a draw. I think a draw will probably be a good result for us as well.
You've still got time to change it?
Close my eyes as I'm reminiscing. I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea. 2-1 Chelsea. We'll beat them away from home.
2-1 Chelsea.
And then we'll probably get beat by Nottingham Forest or whoever else we play after that.
No, I don't. I mean, you said you got beat 5-0 last season. Who was the manager then? Was it Pochettino or was it Potter?
No, it was Pochettino. No, it was Poch.
So
4-1 we got beat last season. Sorry, January 31st we got beat 4-1 at Anfield, and then it was 1-1, 0-0. So this is why I keep thinking it's a draw. Going back to March where we beat them 1-0, Liverpool 5-3, 2-0, etc. Yeah, so it's kind of give or take each time from 2018 onwards. And then at 2021, August 2021, that kind of second game of the season, 1-1, 2-2 in January, 0-0 in January 23, 0-0 in April 23, 1-1 in August 23, 4-1, and then obviously Liverpool beat us 4-1 that time. But yes, there's lots of draws in there. But yeah, draw or a Chelsea
So you're
win.
going to go. I'll put you down for a Chelsea win, and I've quickly changed mine as well to 4-3 Liverpool. So I think you made a good point reading those out. And my educated guess is I think there's going to be some goals, and 4-3, it's going to be a good game. I think, okay, look, with your midfield, unfortunately...
4-3 is a difficult to lose one because you're like, yes. And then when you get beat 4-3, especially if it's 3-3 and they score to make it 4-3, that'll be a hard
That's what I'm saying. So it's got potential to be game of the weekend, to be fair. But I'm sticking with Newcastle Brighton. Again, it could be just a very, very boring match. It could be very, high scoring match. Let's just see. This is the beauty of this, right? This is why we do. This is why we do the predictions. But I think just real quick on your midfielders, I just don't think your midfielders are good enough. To be honest, I just don't think they are. On the counter, yes, 100%. You have got the pace. You've got the skill of player to do that. Brilliant. Granted, I can give you that. And again, because obviously Alisson's not playing, you could be a good chance. I'm not sure if Kelleher's playing because I don't know why he didn't play last game. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But if it's the third keeper, then you've got a very good chance to exploit that as much as you can. But yeah, I just don't think your midfielders. I don't think Enzo Fernandez is good enough, to be honest with you. Caicedo's.
No, Enzo Fernandez is very average.
Again, he shows bits, but then you see some other bits that lead to goals in his own box, and you think. How are you? 118, 120, whatever it was, whatever.
Well, the reason it's 120 million is because we had our pants down.
Yeah, exactly. So again, I just don't like your midfield, and if that's where the game's going to be played, I think they're going to overrun you, and that's why I think maybe 4-3 because they could run straight through the middle. You'll counter them, and it could be back and forth. So again, it could be 4-3 Chelsea. It could literally be that sort of thing.
Let's hope it's the latter.
Yeah, of course. I could lose every game, standard, but.
So who do you want to win? As an Arsenal fan, who would you rather win this game?
I'd rather Chelsea win purely because table, but obviously if you go in London thing, then obviously Liverpool. But no, I'd probably say Chelsea because right now Liverpool may be a bigger threat to Arsenal and Man City.
Yeah, that's wise. Yeah,
again, that's just
Chelsea winning. Chelsea will drop points. Liverpool winning. Very difficult of them dropping points.
We'd expect that, going from history, but Maresca comes from a different teaching. So again, you could have a different mentality for the players. They could already be thinking, right, let's not do what we did last year. So this is what I'm saying. You can never.
I'll be honest with you, I'm excited about this match.
Yeah, same.
About this match. That's why I predicted a win for Chelsea because I feel like we'll go there. And do
it's the big teams that this is how the level of Premier League is measured when the big teams play together. It doesn't matter if one's 8th or 11th or whatever the fuck it is or was. It doesn't matter. Every season is a new season. This is what matters now. Do you know what I'm saying? And so let's see where Chelsea's at. If they get beat 4-0, for example, then yeah, it's a problem. It's like, damn, we are not even close.
We won't do a podcast.
No, we're definitely going to do a podcast. Sure, I'll do one myself. I don't care. But yeah, so yeah, it should be an interesting weekend, and obviously glad for the Premier League to be back. And we'll be back on Sunday. Rick, is there anything else that you want to add, by the way, my friend?
The final match on a Monday night, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace.
Apologies to
Let's
those
not
fans.
forget the lesser teams.
Nottingham Forest versus Palace. Okay, I'm going to go with Palace win.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with... Do you know what? I'm going to go 2-0 Palace.
I've got a feeling this is going to be a 1-1 as well. I'm not even taking the piss about the amount of draws I've put in the game today.
Jesus Christ.
But I just feel like it's going to be some of these games are just first week back.
5. This is your 5th draw, by the way.
Lots of team. Yeah, this is the 5th draw. I think because it's after international break, teams are going to be a bit cautious not to lose the first game. So I've got a feeling 1-1.
Okay. I'll put you down as a 1-1, man. That's, yeah.
And on that note, send us out.
Yeah, I think I should. There is Formula One. There's a sprint qualifying right now, so I'm going to go ahead and watch that. Well, obviously, we'll discuss Formula One results on Sunday. We'll have a quick chat about that.
Yes.
And so if there's nothing else, we'll leave it there, and we'll catch you on the next one. Until then, stay safe, stay alert. Rick.
That's it from me, brother. Just a good night and stay safe, stay alert.